Hello people, right, we have another can tonight. It is, it's a Lancashire beer. It's by a big brewery called Thwaites. They do quite a few nice beers. And this is their mild. It says, as it says in it, Champion Dark Mild. It's quite cold, but the can makes it feel colder. It's called a mild. If you've never had a mild before, they're usually dark beers. They look almost like stouts. They can be really black, and like this one pretty much is. You'll see, dark, creamy beers. Reason they're called mild is mainly due to the alcohol content is low. They're usually between sort of 3 and 3.5. I think I've seen them as high as 4 before, but they are generally between 3 and 3.5% strength. 3 and 3.5 ABV. This one's 3.2. It's like I say, it's a mild flavour. You do get obviously flavours in it, but it's not a strong flavoured beer. It's a nice, easy drinking and refreshing beer. It's quite refreshing for a dark beer. Anyway, I'll show you. Let me just get some of the condensation off the can. There you go. Champion Dark Mild. Thwaites. Yeah, as you can see there, 3.2% on the ABV. Yeah, right, well, without further ado, let me just, there's the glass there. I haven't used this one for a review for a while. I'm sure I've probably used it at some point. This is my Green King IPA pint glass. Had this longer than most of my other glasses. Probably the longest. Yeah, it's always good, by the way, when you get a can of beer, to still pour it. I know the idea behind a can is convenient. You just off the top and but unless it's something, like a cheap lager, you're at a barbecue or something, which you don't have to stand there with a glass. It's out of the can and into the mouth. But it's when you get a proper beer like this in the can, or a good lager, it's good to pour it. Right, as you would just a bottle. Obviously cans tend to be a bit more fizzed up, but from my local store this wasn't available in bottle form. It might well be made in a bottle as well as a can, but I thought I'd buy a 4-pack of these. I've had the other 3, so I thought I'd save the last one for a review. So obviously I've had it before and I know what to expect. When you do a beer review, you don't have to be having that beer for the first time. Sometimes it's good to know what you're going to be tasting. Right. Obviously it's not going to have any sort of sediment in the bottom because it's in a can. So I've just poured a little bit in there. It's fairly fizzed up because it's in a can, so I'm just going to get some of that carbonation off the side of the glass there because it's sticking. It's quite a lot of bubbles. Right, there we go. Although it doesn't feel overly fizzy in the mouth. But as you can see, it's very, very dark. Hold it up to the light, there's a nice ruby red hue going through it. Really nice actually. That is what it is. It's really, really deep dark red, but obviously without any light it just looks black, and you can see the hues around the edge, but if you hold it up to a light you can see straight through. It's really, really murky dark red, lovely ruby colour. Yeah, there's a slight bit of a head there, but I haven't poured a head. There is a decent head on this beer, but I obviously have kept it low for the purposes of smelling it. Right, because I haven't actually sat down to analyse this, although I've drunk 3 cans of it already over the past week or so. You do get a light sort of fruity smell. Yeah, it's quite a light fruity smell. And a certain sweetness about it, and a little bit nutty. In fact, it says on the can, deliciously dark and bittersweet with a rich nutty finish. You do get a bit of a nuttiness, like an oily nuttiness in the smell. Excuse the nose, I've got a bit of hay fever going on, so sorry if I sound a bit snotty. Yeah, really red fruit, like berry fruits almost. But again, it's not a strong smell because it's a mild beer. Everything about it is mild. Which does, by the way, doesn't mean bland. It does not mean bland. Right, anyway. Let's get the rest of this this baby in. It's only a 400ml can as well, so I've got a bit of head to play with. Well, I didn't do a massively good job of... Oh no, there we go. Yeah, 440ml. So there you go, there's all its glory. Nice, fairly creamy head. Sort of slightly off-white, fairly tight on the top there. Don't know if you can really see that. Yeah. Just adds, it's always good to drink through the head. That's why up in Yorkshire, rather than down south, where they're quite often you don't really get a good head on a beer. Up here in Yorkshire, and Lancashire I suppose, but in Yorkshire we you know, we believe, as you'll get told if you ever go to the Thwaites brewery tour, in drinking through the head, because it's part of the aromas rise to the surface in the head, and adds to that creamy taste as well. Right, so cheers folks. Good beer should always have a head all the way down. Should always be drinking through it. Right. It's not bland, obviously, but you do, because it's a low alcohol content and it's not a massively strong flavour, because it's not, you know, brewed for a long time. There is a watery body about it. It doesn't taste watery as such, but there's a watery body about it. But that's the refreshing aspect coming into play. I bored the dog to death. He's gone to sleep. There is a dark, fairly bittersweet. It's not that sweet and not that bitter, but it's a little bit of a balance between bitter and sweet. You can detect that nuttiness in the aftertaste. Very easy drinking. You feel like, you know, it looks really heavy and dark, but you feel like you can just knock the whole thing back, which is not advisable because it's a waste. And you'll feel gassed up and probably quite sick afterwards if you did that. Smooth feel, it does coat the mouth a bit. It's a bit of a creamy feel, as well as being light-bodied, very light-bodied. Excuse me. Smooth, creamy feel, sticks to the inside of your mouth a little bit. There's a bit of hoppiness going on there, but it's not very astringent. It does feel a bit furry on the tongue. It's not very astringent, but it's just nice, mellow drinking beer. It's nice to relax with. There's almost a savoury aspect to it as well. I suppose that's the bitterness counteracting the sweetness a bit. A bit of that dark, a bit of that dark fruit, a bit of that roastiness, but not as much as like a stout or anything. But you do get a bit of roasted malt coming through, because obviously it's brewed with, I would have thought, some sort of chocolate malt because of the colour. Doesn't really say a whole lot on the can. But yeah. A good swig and you get that deep dark bittersweet in the background, and it's fairly yeah, like berry fruits almost, just slightly underneath, so it's really nice. Mild was always, back in the olden days when they first came back, was always seen, I think I'm getting this right, was always seen as the like the poor man's drink, almost. Just for a pint of mild. And obviously the drip trays that collect the drips underneath the hand pumps, obviously they used to filter and they used to sort of drain into another barrel, and the mild used to be that, sort of like the dregs from the drip taps, the drip trays. Obviously nowadays it's, you know, it's proper brewed beer. I'm sure that was how mild started. I haven't looked that up. I think my dad said something ages ago. I'm sure that's how mild started. Yeah. Initially, when you first taste it, that roastiness becomes apparent, but then it soon disappears, and you're left with just a nice feel in the mouth. So yeah, I'm not going to drone on too much. That's about says it all really. Mild in every way, but still plenty of taste to be had. Yeah, like I say, it's good to chill with. Thwaites mild. Charles.